Thanks for joining this afternoon's webinar on SnapStream Monitoring and Compliance. My name is Brian Weissman, and I'm joined by my colleague, Daniel Mee. I'm an account executive here at SnapStream. Daniel is a pre-sales engineer. He also headed up our support department for many years. And a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. There is a question and answer panel within the Zoom webinar interface. We would welcome and encourage any and all questions that you may have. If you'll lob those our way, Daniel will be facilitating making sure we get answers to the people asking as well as the rest of the group. Towards the end, we will be asking a few questions of you to get a little bit better understanding of where you're at right now with your monitoring and compliance needs and what your outlook is going forward. A little bit more about SnapStream. We are a fun, hardworking bunch based out of Houston, Texas. We are a team of about 40 individuals. And really excited for this new era of our company entering the monitoring and compliance space. Just a little bit of background. SnapStream is historically been a DVR-like experience based on electronic program guide data. Primarily based off of an episodic and program library recording basis. With our shift into the monitoring and compliance space, it's more of a focus on continuous recordings based around time rather than programs themselves. Some of our customers across a variety of verticals include the broadcast and entertainment space, as you can see there. And select others across some other verticals as well. Earlier in 2019, Volicon announced that they were sunsetting their product and support of their product. This was big news across the industry because Volicon had become very synonymous as a leading platform within the broadcast space, and SnapStream entered into an agreement with Verizon Digital to be the official partner, meaning that we gained access to a lot of resources, got to know their customers on a very intimate level, did a variety of training with their technical staff, and have subsequently had over 100 customers transition their support of their Volicon platforms over to SnapStream. In the interim, we've been hard at work on building out a best-in-class monitoring and compliance platform, which is we're going to go into more depth about that here today. Through our work in conjunction with Volicon, as well as spending a lot of time understanding the wants and the needs of the marketplace, we've identified several differentiators in our platform that recently launched. One of those is the ease with which you can clip and share content to various internal and external stakeholders. You'll notice a variety of different third-party export options listed here. Many of these have come from requests from customers themselves, so I'm sure this list will continue to grow. A big differentiator for SnapStream is our powerful search capabilities. This has long been at the forefront of what SnapStream is known for, and in addition to building off of our closed captioning search, we also have as run log metadata that allows you to granularly hone in on particular needle in the haystack moments of time to get to an exact mention of anything in your program streams that you may be looking for. We'll take a look at this further in a live demo coming up in just a few moments after we go through the rest of these slides here. We'll jump in a little bit more in depth into the actual interface and see what those use cases with this functionality would look like. An additional differentiator is the flexible deployment model of SnapStream. So you may be looking to layer this in a virtualized fashion in your environment, or to incorporate our own built and supported hardware. Our deployments are customizable to each of our customers' needs and have scalable storage and source requirements that we're able to meet based off of a case-by-case standpoint. In addition, we are able to do super clustering with our monitoring and compliance platform. So whether you're looking to access feeds locally within your the setup where you're at, perhaps in Los Angeles or DC or anywhere else in the country, or you're looking to access feeds at another portion of your organizational footprint, SnapStream makes that possible through a unified interface that rolls up all of the different instances that are deployed across the organization. And then we mentioned, going back to the access that we've had to Volicon over the past 6 months or so. We want to make the transition from their workflows and what you've grown familiar with as easy as possible. And along those lines, your as run and Nielsen ratings configurations are compatible with the SnapStream Monitoring and Compliance platform. Our team is extremely knowledgeable on the ins and outs of their configurations and how that would map over to what you would be doing on SnapStream as well. Now, some things that you've probably come to expect, but we have taken and kind of upped the level of customization and control of is the ability to customize and configure the inputs within your operation. One thing that we heard a lot about is wanting to be able to self-service the configuration of the various inputs. Power. There's power in being able to control exactly what you want done without needing the assistance of SnapStream, though our support team is always here to assist. So you can control your settings in a very streamlined fashion through our back-end interface and on down to the various sources, whether it's your primary feed or a competitor input. You can control everything from the original to the proxy to what languages are being captured, etc., in a customized fashion. Our multi-viewer is the hub of the overall user experience. So from this one-stop glance, you're able to get a 10,000-foot view of what's going on with any of the program feeds, whether there's whether there's proper audio, closed captioning, displaying a scalable number of streams at one time, viewing as-run logs, basically you name it, and this is the jumping off point at which you would start within the UI. It's obviously important to stay within compliance. We have the loudness monitoring enables you to ensure that you are adhering to the CALM Act and able to generate reports and visually appealing graphs to be able to detect when there might be any irregularities or moments that are outside the bounds of what's acceptable within these standards. We also have as-run log integration. This import is configurable based on the same type of setup as what Volicon utilized. And through here, I can easily do error checks and jump to the point of anywhere within my program or add to validate that a particular program or ad was airing at the time that it was supposed to. And with SCUDY 35 and SCUDY 104 messages, you're able to see that those messages were delivered, and the full, expanded view of whether there were any errors in the messages that were sent, and how that may impact a particular ad insertion that did or did not air, and so that you can easily come and identify that there was a particular drop in communication between the different entities involved in making sure that what went out over the air was supposed to. Also, you're able to overlay this information on the screen in order to share with folks that might be questioning something regarding these messages. And lastly, we have audio watermark detection so that you can be notified about any errors that may occur with Nielsen watermarks. And making sure that this is embedded in the signal that goes out. Obviously, very important to make sure that you're able to have this tracking information in association with your content, so that you're able to gather the right data, and therefore ad sales has the ability to charge what your content is worth. Just a few other features that are value adds to our platform. You can see here the ability to burn in various things on top of video. Slack has become a go-to for internal communication at organizations. So that integration is extremely valuable to share this information with colleagues. And with that said, let's go ahead and jump into a live demo of the SnapStream Monitoring Compliance UI itself. So there's a number of different views that I can jump to. As I mentioned, the hub of all the action is going to be under the watch field. Within the watch section, I'm able to pull up any number of streams simultaneously. This scales to any number of feeds within the capacity of what your hardware infrastructure is built out for. So in this case, I've got 3 different program feeds visible. I can add my studio feed here, or my program feed, and scale this out as necessary. So let's say, for example, that I'm going to click into my CNN window. So now this is my active program that I'm working with. And someone sent me a note saying that there was a question about audio dropping yesterday at 6:20 at night. I'll use my calendar window to click back in and go to that exact moment in time, in which case I can click and see that I have the audio working just fine at that moment. And so now I've validated that everything was in fact good, and I want to go ahead and assure that person that I've checked up on this. So I'll then come down to my clipping tools and take a clip of that moment. And extract that out. And then I have a number of different options over here. I can simply clip the segment. In this case, though, I want to make sure it goes to the person that had expressed that concern. So I'm going to share this via email, and I'm going to give it a title, say, Loudness Complaint, and add some tagging, and the tagging, in case I or anybody else wants to easily come back into the system, and get back to this exact search that I did, I've now added this tagging which lives on in association with that content. I can choose to store it in a particular folder destination, choose whether I want to clip and share from the original copy or the proxied version. I can add caption burn-in, the loudness burn-in, which in this case is obviously important because that's what they're asking about, as well as a timestamp. And I'm going to go ahead and send this to myself. And for the title, I'm going to say verification of signal. And I can make this available anywhere between now and up to 6 months from now. So what's important to know is that this clip that I'm about to send can go to anybody, any recipient, regardless of whether they have access to SnapStream or not. So when I clip this, it runs its brief workflow, and then I come over and have it available in my inbox. So this is the email that the recipient is going to get. And when I click into that link, it takes me to the exact point in time to which I can either play back this video and I feel comfortable knowing that the audio's fine. I must have, misheard something, or it just, I'm comfortable with what's been validated. I can also download this to keep on my workstation, as well as viewing and downloading the associated transcripts. If I go back to my watch screen here, I've now created a clip, and if I click into my bookmarks section here, I can see any number of different clips or bookmarks that have been created for this particular program. So a bookmark is a segment that is basically a clip in progress. It's often used for collaboration amongst colleagues, so that I can then come in and edit this before making it a clip. So I can click on this moment and then maybe adjust the start and end points that I want to, and then save this as a clip for my intended needs. Back on this screen here, I see my loudness meter, and I can also see the closed captioning overlay. So visually, from my workstation, I'm able to validate without having any audio going, and with multiple programs that, okay, we're good with what's airing right now from a closed caption and an audio standpoint. Now, I mentioned about being able to see air checks on verifying that something aired when it was supposed to. If I click up here in the right-hand section, maybe I want to know that a particular ad was shown at a certain time within the program, and I have my play-by-play, and I can click into that exact moment, and it'll take me within the web player to that, and I'm able, to validate that what was airing was what was supposed to be on. Now let's talk about search. Another use case may be that your ad sales folks want to be able to compile proof of performance that something aired on this morning's newscast. So I'm going to come up to my closed captioning toolbar, or my search toolbar, I should say, and I'm going to do a search for Toyota. And when I come in to this result, it takes me straight into the point of my Toyota commercial that aired. And just like I did earlier, I'm able to create my start point and my end point. I clip that out, and I send it to my contact over at Toyota so that they know that that spot aired as it was supposed to. Over in the monitoring section, I may want to know about loudness and whether it's staying within the proper range within a certain period of time. So I click into my loudness section, and I see a visually plotted chart here of what's taking place within this window of time. Now, I'm typically when I'm identifying this, I'm looking for things outside the norm. So I see within this chart that at a little bit after 11 o'clock this morning, things spiked in my audio levels. So I can scroll in here and get to a more narrow time at which I can create my clip start and end points and go take a further look at exactly what happened during that period of 2 to 3 minutes here. Obviously, revenue is a big driver for stations, and so I want to know how I'm performing in relation to my expectations, what kind of ratings I'm getting for my programming that helps me to charge for advertisements and helps me to make tweaks to my operations. So within the monitoring section, I can come in and see my ratings info as well. So for today, as an example here, I'm able to track my household information as well as my all-important 25 to 54-year-old demographic, and kind of see how that stacks up both versus other days at the same time of day, or other competitors in the marketplace. And then my Scotty messages is going to show the summary of my information here that I can expand to be able to search and filter on these signals for ad insertion, and to make sure that that there wasn't any loss in messages that were delivered, and what that might mean to why something did or didn't air. And so it gives me an hourly summary of these messages in total, and just an overall heartbeat of what's being sent through. In the admin section, I mentioned that you have complete control over customizing your inputs. And so here, I'm able to come in and add an additional input. We have a number of transport types, and this might be something that is, that's encoded on your own, or we have a variety of encoding options that we can speak with you about as well. I can give various people access to a granular set of permissions within each of these streams. And then I can choose whether I want something to be proxied, and if I do, how long the original and or the proxy would last. In a lot of cases, this is going to be differentiated by whether it's your primary feed, or whether maybe you produce content that airs on a certain station for a limited number of hours per day, or whether you're simply looking at wanting like a low-res copy of your competitor feeds for, for intelligence on a rolling 14-day period, and I can set up the parameters around each of these inputs one by one. I can also enable any of the compliance and monitoring information. Input by input as well. Another important piece is automation, is the efficiency of getting things to different destinations in as quick a manner as possible. So I have different external accounts that can be set up, and then I can create workflows, which is exactly what it sounds like, in order to export items to a particular destination, to transcode on the fly, or any other type of automated setup that's needed for my operations. We also have a number of different format profiles. So you can select from whatever is necessary based off of the use case of each input and program. I do want to take a minute to see what questions there are at this point. Daniel, do you have any questions that you may want to share with the group that have come in?
Yeah, a couple that came in. One question was, is there a limit on how many videos can be viewed in the multi-viewer? There's not a hard-coded limit on this. If you're familiar with our existing DVR product, that product has a limit of 4 videos, but we've expanded, that limit in this interface, and we no longer, now you can play as many inputs as you want, given that you have enough bandwidth between you and the server, and that your client PC or Mac or whatever can support, rendering all of those videos at the same time. However, administrators can also place a limit on playbacks concurrently as a setting to sort of manage the amount of bandwidth that users are using.
Perfect.
Another question. Another question that came in was about our hardware platform. What OS does the system run on? What kind of storage does it use? Our current platform runs on Windows Server 2016. We're going to be launching a new version of the platform in the near future that is going to run on Windows Server 2019. And in all cases, most of our configurations are going to be using RAID 6 storage.
Awesome.
One other question, do we have to pay extra for clip sharing? No, our clip sharing feature is 100% included in the cost of the service.
Perfect. I did see one other question. I just wanted to mention that people were asking about configuring streams, and so you can certainly call support for assistance with that. Just to clarify and reiterate, we want to give our customers the power to be able to do that on their own, quickly and easily. And so through our back end, you are able to do that setup, but our support is always here to assist where needed. We're all about giving our customers full control while also being there to support the system in its entirety. So what I'd like to do
Hold up,
right
Brian.
now.
One other question that just came in.
Sure.
Do you need to have access to SnapStream to get the email someone would send after creating a clip? That's a great question. No. The purpose of our clip sharing feature is to enable you to share videos with anyone, anywhere, regardless of whether they have access to your system or not. So when you send out one of these clip shares, what's going to happen is that we will transcode that clip to a web-friendly H.264 profile, upload it to our website at snapstream.net, and then the email that goes out will actually have a link to play back that video on our website, so that the users don't have to have access to your SnapStream system in order to play back that shared video.
Perfect. Really insightful feedback, Daniel. Appreciate you addressing all those, and definitely keep the questions coming. So I'd like to take a moment just to put up a couple of poll questions here and get a little bit better understanding now that we've had a chance to go through what SnapStream Monitoring and Compliance is offering, and just understand a little bit more about where things are at for each of you. So I've launched those questions here, and if you don't mind just taking a minute to jump in and answer those. First one should be pretty straightforward, and then we just want to kind of get an understanding of the features that are important to you. And what your time frame looks like. And in the meantime, if there's any additional questions, please don't hesitate to ask. But another 15
one
or 20
other
questions.
thing that came in, sort of,
Yeah.
I guess, a sort of a follow-up to the question about our platforms, about virtualization, whether SnapStream can be run virtually if a customer wants to use their own hardware, their own virtual environment. And yes, we can do that. We can deploy either as an OVA to load as an image in your virtual environment, or we can do a software-only deployment. So we offer a lot of flexibility in how to deploy SnapStream.
Perfect. Looks like we're good to go there. With that said, Daniel and I are going to stick by to answer any additional questions that you may have. We appreciate you taking some time to learn a little bit more about our SnapStream Monitoring and Compliance platform this afternoon. Couple follow-up notes. Easy way to get in touch with us is Brian, B-R-I-A-N, @snapstream.com, or Daniel, D-A-N-I-E-L, @snapstream.com.
Brian, one other question that came in is about pricing.
Sure.
Whether this is a monthly cost for the system or if it's CapEx for the initial system and then a support contract tied to that.
So there's a few different variables to it. That would be what was the first? Let me see if I can take a look here. Oh, I follow. Yeah, so it is going to be more towards a CapEx and a support service contract. We don't operate on per incident support, so it's kind of in the middle of what was asked there. It's probably more of a CapEx and support contract as far as what you would be familiar with. So we'll hang out for another minute or two. If you've got any additional questions, please type away. And if not, look forward to talking with many of you about how we can help meet your needs. If you have any questions after the fact, don't hesitate to email us or call in to schedule a personalized demo and discussion of your needs. And we hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a great day.